Hey y'all, it's Stacy with southernbite.com. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're going to tackle another one of the most popular recipes that we have on the site. This is my recipe for my 5-ingredient beef enchiladas. Now, despite the fact that it is super popular, I still think sometimes people dismiss this recipe because they think that it has so few ingredients it can't be good. Well, they're absolutely wrong. There are a few shortcuts in this recipe that make it super flavorful, and it's also crazy easy, which makes it perfect for those busy weeknights. Let's jump in. To start, I've got a skillet here heating over about medium-high heat, and I'm going to add about 1 pound of ground beef. Now, I'm using ground chuck. You could certainly opt for a leaner ground beef if you'd like. The goal here is to break this up and get this browned. Now, anytime you see a recipe that calls for you to brown the ground beef, you actually want to leave it alone for a little bit and let it get some of that brown caramelization on it. That's the result of something called the Maillard reaction, and it's a great way to add flavor. So when you brown ground meat like this, don't sit here and stir it constantly. Walk away from it for a little bit and let it get next to the heat in that pan and caramelize and add all that great flavor. Now, I'm just chopping this up, but I'm not flipping it over so that it remains in contact with the bottom of the pan here. All right, so this is cooked through now, and if you look, you can see we've just let it sit there, and it got some of this beautiful dark brown caramelization on there that's gonna add tons of flavor. I'm gonna drain the excess grease away here. And if you've used a lean ground beef, this may be a step that you don't have to do. You may not have to drain it away. But in this case, I used ground chuck, which is gonna be a little fattier, so there is a little bit that I'm gonna drain away there. All right, just get that excess grease out there. I've got my pan back over the heat here, just on low. I'm gonna put this meat right back in my pan here. Now, the first shortcut that we're going to talk about is how to add some flavor here. I'm adding 1 cup of chunky salsa. Now, if you stop and think about the kinds of things that you would add into a meat mixture like this, it would be tomatoes, onions, peppers, garlic. Well, the great thing about using jarred salsa is it already has all of those ingredients in there, so it's a great shortcut to add tons of flavor without having to chop all that stuff. So I'm going to add this 1 cup of chunky salsa to this. If chunky salsa is not your thing, I know a lot of times little kids don't like chunks of vegetables, you could certainly use a different salsa. Just pick whatever your favorite is. I'm just gonna stir this around just to get it heated through. All right, once that's heated through, we're gonna start assembling our enchiladas. Now, I will be the first to tell you, these are not authentic enchiladas. They're shortcut enchiladas. So what you're gonna wanna do is create a dish that your family's gonna love. Authentic enchiladas are traditionally made with corn tortillas. My family doesn't love corn tortillas, so we use flour. You should pick whatever your family likes. I've got about 8-inch tortillas here that I've warmed slightly. It just makes rolling them up a little bit easier. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna roll each of these with a little of our meat mixture, some shredded Mexican cheese blend, and then we're gonna put them in our casserole dish. I've got a 9 by 13-inch casserole dish that I'm gonna spray with a little non-stick cooking spray. And as I always do, I wanna explain that if you've got a dishwasher full of dirty dishes, spray this dish right over the open door of your dishwasher. That way you're not spraying excess cooking spray all over your kitchen. And then when you run that, of course, it's gonna get cleaned up anyway. All right, I'm gonna take 1 of our tortillas here. I'm gonna put about a 1/4 cup of our meat mixture right into the center of our tortilla. Top it with a few tablespoons of our shredded Mexican cheese blend. Now, I like to use the large shred here because I feel like it melts a little bit easier. It doesn't just dissolve all together in the heat, so you actually get a little bit of that cheese stringiness and everything. Now, normally, I am a big fan of buying whatever's on sale when it comes to convenience products. I'm using a 10-ounce can of enchilada sauce. I will say this, spending a little money for a better enchilada sauce is kind of important here. Because if you taste some of the lesser expensive enchilada sauces, they just don't have tons of flavor. I love the Hatch brand, but there are several others out there that are super delicious. What I did is I just went and I bought 3 or 4 different brands to be able to taste them. And the reality is that spending a little more, because there are so few ingredients in here and fewer opportunities to add flavor, spending a little more on a better enchilada sauce is going to pay off in the end. I'm going to take and pour about half of this enchilada sauce right in the bottom of our sprayed baking dish. Then I'm just going to roll these up. I'm going to turn it over like this and just kind of press the edge down and pull back with a little pressure, and then just roll that up. I'm going to place these seam side down right on top of our enchilada sauce here, and then we're just going to get to work. We've got about 8 of these to do. All right, once we've got those done, we're going to take the rest of our enchilada sauce and just kind of drizzle this right over the top. Our cheese that's left over is going to go right on the top. And the great thing too is that if by any chance you've miscalculated the filling amount, and I've got a little extra here, you can just take that and sprinkle that right over the top too. I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. We're gonna wrap this tightly with aluminum foil. It's gonna bake for 30 to 40 minutes, just long enough for everything to heat through and get that cheese nice and melted on top. All right, so these have been in the oven for about 20 minutes. And again, the idea here is just to cook them long enough to where that cheese gets melted and everything gets heated through. I love making some Mexican rice, serving these with a nice salad on the side. They're super easy, crazy flavorful, and you know what? You can customize these to fit your family's needs. You know, you could swap the ground beef for some shredded cooked chicken that you mix in with that salsa and everything. Use a different type of sauce, use a green sauce. There's so many options with this recipe. It's really one of those that kind of makes everybody happy. You can find the recipe by heading over to the website at southernbite.com and just search for 5-ingredient beef enchiladas. Y'all enjoy.